Just when America has reached a breaking point with division, visionary influencer Danni Benson's I'm Proud of You Sis bro movement taps into the pulse and heartbeat of a culture radically torn. But this loving mom's voice of reason and calm has received national recognition.
How'd you balance having your children and always traveling with the Yankee organization?
When I became a dad, I said that I would always love like a mother.
I feel like I have to try certain things or act a different way because I know some people or some kids.
So join Danni Benson as she celebrates her special guests on her show and highlights their gifts and contributions to our world.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. I am proud of you, sis. Please like, share, and follow. I'm hoping that everyone is having the loveliest of days. I mean, you got to put a smile on your face. Life is too short. So even if you're having a bad day, please find something to smile about. My name is Danni Benson. I am the host of I Am Proud of You, Sis. Please like, share, follow, and comment and subscribe. I've been doing this show for almost 4 years. I think it's 4 years now. Oh my God, where has the time gone? But I'm enjoying every single minute of it because I love giving people their flowers and I love giving men their cigars because there's a lot of fantastic men out there too that I am proud of. But today I have Miss Nathalie here. She is we'll let her talk about, she does a lot of things, but right now I feel like the job market is insane right now. I speak to a lot of my friends. They're on LinkedIn. I just want to learn how to navigate this because what's happening is, they make it seem like it's easy to find a job, but it's not really easy to find a job because of this whole AI thing and the whole scanning of the resumes. So she's a recruiter. She's going to give us some tips and we're going to talk about other things too. But I wanted to give her flowers because I am so proud of her, sis. I am so proud of you, mama. So welcome her to the show. Now, did I say your first name correctly?
Nathalie Heywood
Nathalie.
Smith.
So I had to put that in there.
Yes.
Nathalie.
Yes. You gotta go.
Hi. Wait. Let's adjust your screen. Okay, you're perfect. You are perfect.
Okay.
How are you today?
Moving, like this whole looking at the camera, like where do I sit? Where do I go?
Sit in the box. No. You perfect.
I
I
know how to stay in a box though. That's the whole thing. Because like my tagline right now is I do dope shit that moves the needle and I have fun. So I don't know.
Tell me about this tagline. Tell me, please.
So, after there's this place where you get a point in your career when you want to do things that matter. And what matters to you can be multiple different things. A lot of people think work that matters is I am environmentally conscious, which I am, mental health, which I am. But it also means that you feel that you've moved something forward. You've moved what is important to you. Like people who love to build houses, they build houses all they want. It's important to them. Plumbers, it's important to them. They like to get in there and snake a drain. So what's important is that at this point in my career, the things that I do somehow create impact, create a change, create a step forward. Part of what makes me feel good is, and maybe it's always been, but to see something grow. Some of us do it because we garden. Some of us do it because we have children. Did those things. My green thumb is absent. Just saying, it's a little brown. But I think that seeing my world evolve around me in the way that I want is what's important. So that's why it's like anything I want to do at this point has to somehow be on that mission, my personal mission of having impact and changing.
I
and
love
leaving
that.
behind a legacy. I don't want to leave this world without leaving my footprint in
Me
some form of fashion.
too. I feel the same way, but I love that. I want to put my hands on something that I know is going to grow. And not only grow, but grow on a positive trajectory.
Yes, yes. It's
Because we
important that
have to
it's
say that too,
positive.
because you could grow negatively too.
That's true. It's important to grow positively. Absolutely. And I think that it's in our, much like we are born and we grow and they develop. I think it's part of human nature to grow in a positive direction. I don't think it's in our nature to grow negatively. I think environment, circumstances, experience, all these other things actually contribute to it. But even at the core, somehow we're reaching. It's, I think, our humanness that creates that want to reach.
Yeah, and reach higher.
I don't know yet about retire.
So it could maybe retire, reach sideways. Like what reach are you talking about?
I mean, reach forward and push things positively forward. That's the kind of reach I'm talking about. I always believe that we're looking for what's our next. We're naturally inclined to walk forward, not backward. So as many times,
even as a baby, we walk forward. We never really walk backwards.
Yeah, you can walk backwards, but you're always looking forward still. So I think as human beings, that's what I mean about growth and change and moving forward.
So tell me how everything has changed in the last decade or so. I just feel like there's so much changes. I just feel like there was a period of just, I don't know, maybe things were always changing, but I just feel like in the last 10 years, things have changed more than the last 50 years.
Well,
I really think it's because of the access we have to information.
Yeah.
There's social media.
That's what it is. Yeah.
And there's cell phones. Before, it's like you wouldn't get information until you got home to either look at TV, listen to the radio.
It's the speed of things. It's the speed of things. It moves much faster now than it had before. So what we feel is that we are getting information faster and becoming more reactive because we are taking in so much data and less proactive. So I think some of the shift that we feel as people in this world is that we don't have as much time to proactively move forward. We're reactively moving forward. We're getting pushed forward by technology. We're being pushed to innovate faster. And all those things are okay. I'm not saying no to it, but I think there's a place as a human being we have to realize that we need to adjust to it. Because we are, you mentioned a little bit about technology and AI in the intro. I believe you said AI.
Yeah.
I think we have to recognize where our skills really are. And then AI becomes a tool. It becomes another pencil or pen. It becomes an opportunity to be more efficient about our thoughts and put them together. And I am someone who I still am very much a traditionalist. So I want to write with a pen and paper. Or I pick special paper. I got cool pens so I can write. I like art that is painted or drawn and conceived out of your hands. I'm still very tactile in that way. And I don't think those things go away. But I think we look at these tools as a way to lift us up. And if we can adapt in our thought process to being lifted, which, some of us don't, then I feel like they're here to help us. If we're going to resist it and not try and, surf that wave, we're going to run into stuff.
And I think you're right. And you are also, can I say the word recruiter?
You can. I do a lot of searching for talent. At this stage in my career.
Tell me what that entails from your perspective of what you do. Because
So
I like the word you said, searching for talent. I like that.
So for when I'm doing it, I usually get pulled in at a certain level, usually something senior, executive, up to the C-suite. So
And just explain C-suite for the people who don't understand
okay.
what that means.
So your presidents, your chief executive officers, your chief finance, chief marketing, SVP marketing, executive leadership, and then the C-suite or anything that begins with that chief title.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what happens at that level is a business has a set of goals or where they want to go, or an organization that needs a specific type of help. So they're looking for a very specific set of experiences that the individual they want to bring in will take the organization to the next level, because it's the more high level part of a business. So if you're talking about, let's use chief marketing officer, that person has a more high level understanding of marketing, is talking about where things are trending, is thinking about it strategically and thought leadership versus tactical. Like, what are the, we need to push out a campaign. That's more tactical. Why we need to push the campaign, why we need to move, how we need to market this organization to the rest of the world, how do we make partnerships, those things, more high level thinking.
And how hard it is these days to find talent?
So it's a mixed bag. There are always, because this brings us into a few things. I think that talent requests have gotten more and more specific according to what the organization wants to do. So I can see that I'm a marketer and I'm a marketer in a specific vertical. Like, when I say vertical, I mean like I market in pharma, or I market in entertainment. So if an individual can explain how the bridge works, like, I've been doing the marketing in pharma, but I want to go into entertainment, you need to bridge it. You need to understand what the skills are that transfer, so that the person interviewing you can see where you come into the organization and can help them get there where they want to be. Because you don't have entertainment at a senior level, you've been in one industry, you want to move into another. If you have a network of people in entertainment, that needs to be part of your presentation and your resume, because that's the why of bringing you in. So you have the hardcore skills that you've already learned, but you need a network at that level that says, I understand how to navigate the contracts in entertainment. I understand licensing. There's multiple things we can go through just in a verbiage sort of way. But when it comes to that, that's where you probably need someone to help find the individual. With roles that are in that 5 to 7 years, 5 to 10 years, you may not necessarily need me. You might be able to find, like, an organization will have their own internal recruitment team that can find talent. Junior level, out of school internship, the organization usually has someone who can find talent for them. Does that answer your question?
That answers the question. So for the graduating college grads right now, I always hear this word, and I remember hearing this word when I was graduated. I graduated from NYU. We need experience. We need experience. We need experience. We need experience. Now,
So,
what do you tell a grad that just got out of school?
So, out of school, I think that you have to start while you're in school, getting experience. Those are your internships. That's going to your career. I think they call it career placement groups. Working with the deans of your discipline, working with the teachers within your discipline to make connections outside of the school to get roles and get exposure and get opportunities. Those are the key ways that they begin building the experience on their resume. Oh. And then if you can't get that, like, is there volunteer stuff? Is there an organization that would match that you could volunteer? Some cities, like I know in New York City, they have a program where you can register and become a volunteer for some of the city agencies. You really should go looking for those opportunities so that no matter what, you have a professional, you have something to say professional about your understanding of the industry you're walking into and the kind of work that needs to be done. And then you can have a conversation based on a couple of experiences you've had. You also need to, or you also should, shout out the courses that are pertinent to the industry. So if you're going into accounting and you know that this particular accounting class that you took in statistics is going to be key to the role that you're pursuing, highlight it. Functional something in math,
whatever. You can highlight it on your resume.
Highlight it on your resume. You can call it out and highlight it in the conversation when you get in front of somebody. Because your whole point is to tell them why you are the right candidate for them. That's what the process is. The interview is interesting. An interview is to get a job offer. An interview is not to do the work or anything like that. It's the opportunity to present yourself, why you are the person that you are in your skill set, and then ask for the job and tell them why you're the right person for the job and go from there.
So even with interviewing, it's so. Tell me some tips to interviewing, because it gets so daunting. You don't know what they're going to ask you. You have to say it in a specific way sometimes. Like, what are the tips in interviewing? Like, how can you wow someone, wow the hiring manager, or wow the organization by your interview?
So, the first thing you should do before you interview is read the job description. Second thing you should do is read your resume, because you wrote something in there. That's why they called you. A lot of people don't do that, so they forget because of the nervousness. It's really because of the nervousness you forget. So
but this is your resume, isn't it something that you actually done, so you should know it anyway?
Yes, but what happens is it's like getting on stage. You knew the lines before you got on stage, and then you get on stage and you forget. It's the same thing. So read your resume, because it'll comfort you. It'll settle your nerves and comfort you to remember how good you are.
Got it.
If you can, look for that person online, like a LinkedIn is usually what people use, and see what they've read, what they've posted, what they've written. Kind of understand professionally who this individual is, so that you can find points of connectivity. And
but you know what I like about LinkedIn though? They tell if you've been, like, if I'm going to an interview and I want to pitch the hiring manager, sometimes you don't even know the hiring manager's name. Sometimes it's like HR calling you first. But once you do get the hiring manager's name, sometimes you feel we're going to LinkedIn, because they can see that you went into their LinkedIn.
I wouldn't worry about it. You don't have. So this is the other thing I was saying. Don't worry about things you can't control.
Got it.
If they saw you looked at your LinkedIn, does that communicate, oh, they're interested? They're doing their research? Does it communicate stalker? But you don't know. Who cares? At this point, there's no wrong or right answer. It's do the research to understand the company, what they do, the people you're meeting, as much as you can. Because those are the points that ground you, so you can have a conversation with someone to understand the business, and for them to get that you understand the business and that you have build your question cache from that. So you have questions to ask in the interview as well. There is comfort in knowledge. And when you have knowledge, you are more comfortable in an interview than when you don't. I urge recruiters, and I do this myself, I urge people to, and unfortunately it's not something that often happens, but I encourage people to to give the recruiters, I encourage them to give individuals a prep of some sort so that they know that they're walking into. And I also like to prep managers so that they know that what they're walking into, because you're asking two people to basically glow on a speed date. Think about it. The two of you meet for the first time for 30 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, and you want them to glean all the magic in the world in that short period of time. It's
hard.
It's a flawed system, but it's how everybody does it, right? So do as much as you can to understand the scenario you're walking into, because that's the point of these meetings, to get to know people, to ask questions, to repeat questions so you know what you're walking into, to take the information from the first interview into the second interview and build momentum to get a job offer. That's what that part is. Once you get the job offer and you decide this is where you're going to go, then you worry about the job. Don't worry about a job you don't have. Don't build in your preconceived notions before you actually have a reason to.
So how can you make your resume stick out? I have like friends who talk about this ATS tracking, like, you know, like basically there's too many resumes coming in and HR department can't look at every resume. So they use this tracking system in order to pick up different resumes. What are the pros and cons of that? Because I just feel that sometimes it's a con more than a pro, because you might be picking people that not really are the talent. You're looking for words and characteristics of what's on their resume.
Well, the first thing that happens is they're looking for specific skills that they're trying to match. So I think people should read job descriptions so they can apply to the right jobs. I think a lot of what happens is we're also on the job hunting side. We're so busy clicking because it sounds like it's close to what we do, because nobody's actually looking or nobody has the time, whatever the excuses are or the reasons are, so we're just clicking through. So the thing about the recruiter is getting all of these resumes, and most of them are not relevant to the role. So being purposeful in what you apply for, I think, is important. And I think that, to the question of the ATS, someone had to put in prerequisites that says this many years or these kind of things. So that's why your resume will go through or not go through. If the job requires a CPA, you have to have that you have a CPA. There's just something, it's a certification, you have to have it. So it's best to make sure that the stuff that they're blocking with the ATS is along those lines. A certification, a degree, a number of years of experience.
So do you always have to ramp up your resume? Like once you read the job description, do you have to like make your resume match a job description in order to have a high chance of getting pulled from the ATS system?
So there is a place, yes, there is some tailoring to that resume that you're going to want to do. So if it says 7 to 10 years experience, you need to make sure that the experiences you had there are somewhere between 7 and 10 years, so that the ATS doesn't block you. You'll notice on LinkedIn, sometimes there are questions now. How many years of HR experience do you have? When you're applying for a role? Those are the things that the ATS is trying to assess. So that's why you're going to get those questions. Because if you don't have, they're asking for 10 years of human resources experience, but you don't have that, and you say, I have 5 years, you're going to get bounced out. If you're, and they need it for a specific reason. In most cases, they know that if you haven't had enough experience doing this type of work, there's going to be a learning curve or a training curve that they don't have the bandwidth, because they don't have the staff to actually do that for you.
But how are you supposed to get experience if you don't have the experience? Like I hear this all the time, that it's like they're looking for this experience, but didn't everyone get a shot like, because no one is born with the experience, right? So wasn't that person able to get a shot to get the experience? Like, how does that work? Like, I'm not talking about out of college. I'm just talking about as soon as you pass college and you're in the same field, but then they want this, they want certain things. I always
So
feel
when you're looking at the job description, you have to highlight where the bridge is. And sometimes they're asking for cover letters. When they ask for a cover letter, definitely do one. But that's where you're going to make those connective. That's where the connective tissue is going to be. That's where you're going to make the bridge for them so that they can understand. I'll give you an example of this. So looking for a VP role, they specifically wanted someone that had been a VP prior because this is a lean team. So you have to have experience. The person that I know is right for the role has never had a VP title, but all of her responsibilities match and the leveling and the years of experience. So I could tell that even though she didn't have a VP title, she was doing that type of work. And so I asked her about it specifically, and she said, yeah, they don't give that title here. So that's something you can point out when you're applying. You can say, I have VP level experience in the organization that I currently work in. The title doesn't match up same, but it is equivalent based on the responsibilities you're asking for.
But in the ATS system, how would you even put that on your resume? Should you put that on your resume? Because the ATS system is probably looking for vice president, VP, like they're looking for those type of skill words.
So what happens is that's why the cover letter is going to be important.
Mm.
And usually they'll ask you something about that. And the person on the other side looking will have some sense of experienced recruiters have some sense of companies and matching up companies. They know not to just, similar to how that I said that I knew that her level of experience matched up.
So what do you think is better? You think it's better to have a recruiter or do it on your own? How do you find recruiters? How do you find recruiters?
You know what? So again, leveling. It is almost better to look in your network first. So like when we were talking about students, they're looking at deans, they're looking at other students, they're looking at teachers, right? They're looking at their career placement.
Mm-hmm.
So your network is always your first line of fire. A recruiter, talk to a couple. There's a lot of them on LinkedIn. See who's responsive, who's not responsive. Link to them. See, on some jobs, they'll actually list who the recruiter is. Reach out to that person. So this is the role I see you have posted. This is what I'm interested. This is when my skill set matches up. Go for those roles. And 3, apply to stuff. So the other thing is a lot of people apply to these huge, big corporations, the Microsoft, the Googles, and you should apply, especially based on the experiences you have. But there's a bunch of mid-sized companies that are just as wonderful to work with, and sometimes even better because you have more decision-making capabilities once you get into your role. And you also have the opportunity to grow faster. So don't knock out, like a lot of people don't go to small companies or mid-sized companies because they have a thought that won't be a great place to be, but they could be some of the most phenomenal experiences you'll have. So there's a bias of don't let not having a flashy name or a flashy product prevent you from choosing to apply.
And then when you say like on LinkedIn, do you put on LinkedIn because I'm just saying this for the audience. I know how to do this already, but for LinkedIn, do you put in recruiter and then it populates for all these different type of recruiters? Can you put recruiter and based on your field and then all those recruiters like pop up also? How does it work in LinkedIn? Like how do you find, like how would I find you?
So for me, I think if you put in talent acquisition, you'll probably find me.
So it's not recruiter anymore. It's called talent acquisition.
You'll find both. You'll find talent acquisition and recruiter. So inside corporations, especially, it's usually a talent acquisition team that handles all the hiring. It's some HR people still do hiring, but it's more the talent team that.
Oh, what's the difference?
So within a business, that's a good question, actually, because most people don't realize it. So there's a lot of functions that fall under human resources: your benefits, your onboarding, your employee relations, compliance, benchmarking for compensation. There's a few different disciplines. Talent acquisition is a separate discipline. So
I didn't know that. I thought human resources was the talent acquisition. I just thought it was like a different part of the human resources umbrella.
Depending on the company, it can be separated out completely, or it can fall under that umbrella of operations or under the umbrella of human resources. It just depends on how the company decides to decide on how their organization will put it. Where they put it is where they put it. But
no, I understand that, and just, like, so many resumes are coming to you. So many resumes. How do you? Is it through instincts, your emotions to pick out talent? Because it's still just a piece of paper with words on it. Like, what is it? Is it like a gut feeling? Like, how do you, as a talent recruiter, talent acquisition personnel, how do you know? Because these people are hoping that you pick them. Like, pick me, pick me, pick me. Like, so what do you do? What, how do you pick? How do you pick?
I look for skills first.
So skills is the big thing. Skills is a big thing.
So and that is most important. Like, if my job description says I need someone that has done X, Y, and Z, those are the first things I'm going to look for. In a job description, the first 3 to 5 things are more what you need than anything else, because usually those are written in order of importance. Sort of like the bullets on your resume. They should be written in order of importance, especially to the job description.
So okay. So if you have a resume, just so people are listening to this, because this is, a lot of people looking for work right now. Besides your name, what are the top things? Because I know you only have like 8 seconds to read it. I know this is study like this.
So that summary: I am X. I do ABC. I'm X. I do ABC, resulting. So let me say it this way: I do X. I'm experienced in ABC. What I can do for your organization is Y. It's almost like a math problem. It's like you tell them what you are, you tell them what you can do, and you tell them your result.
So it's an algebra problem.
That's how I look at it. Yeah. That's how I look at it. Because I think that when you look at that thing, you need to grasp, there's a lot of, great words that we put in there, but there's a place where I really need to understand very quickly who you are. Because I'm going to look at the summary. I'll tell you how I go through it. I look at the summary. I look at the companies you've worked with, because I've been at this a while. So I recognize a lot of names and what kind of work that company does. And then I look at the responsibilities you had in the past, 5 years to see if
it's go back to 5.
No. I have this is me like having a process. Okay. I'll look at the first 5 years to see that you have like some of the basics, and then I'll look through the rest of, if those things are clicking for me, I'll look at the rest of the resume to see what has brought you to the place now that makes you the right candidate for me to move forward. Then I'm going to call you, and then we're going to go through specifics of what I'm looking for. And I'm going to drill into, in your experience, I see this. So is that like, how did you do that? What other places did you do that? How did you end up in this role with this responsibility? How did you solve for? How did you adapt to? How did you work with others? So those are the things that if I gave a breakdown, that's how I would break it down.
So is a myth right then? Like like recruiters have only 8 seconds to go through to know if it's a yes or no?
It's not that I think that it's not amiss to say that. I think that there are some roles that are more tactical, so that's where the 8-second rule comes through. And there are some roles that are more strategic, which means you'll take a little bit more time. So a leadership or an executive role, you'll take more time looking at the resume than someone who's 5 years in, where you're looking more for their tactical skills because they haven't gotten to the thought leadership process. So that's
Oh, I love that. Okay. So I love that. So what do you love about what you do?
I love the people part. I do. Because I consider myself a door of entry, not a gatekeeper. So if I can marshal, going back to what we were talking about at the beginning on what makes us move forward, if I'm like marshaling in people like, you can get this done and you can get that done, these hires become the pillars of the organization. I did that. So my control ego goes way up the roof because I can tell you that this business was able to make these moves because of the people I put there. Like I can tag back to that. And there's a lot of examples and there's a lot of people I love. And hopefully they all know how amazing it was to place them in their opportunity and put them in a place where they could, fulfill their dreams. And, the job is a stepping stone to whatever your next is. And to see people grow, back to the grow thing, that's fun. That is fulfilling. That is fulfilling.
And okay, so I see a glow in you. I see the glow. So tell me about like your business. Tell me like about your day-to-day.
My day-to-day. So what I do day-to-day, so these are my Da Vinci years. That's why I do dope shit. So part of what I do, like I have my consultancy, which recruits which I do recruit through. I do some coaching through. I do organizational development advisory, all through the lens of and the POV of the human capital. Because a company grows or folds based on the individuals that are there. So my contribution to the economics and capitalism, right? Expanding how people are seen outside of stereotypes, bringing in more inclusive thought processes, bringing in that stuff that really boosts creativity, which is just a mixture of ideas, is very important to me. One of the things that I started to do is work with a company called POC Stock, which is people of color stock photography. And specifically behind that mission is to change the way people are seen. Most of us get our impression of other people, culture, places, things from watching something on media. We saw an image, we saw a commercial, we caught a glimpse of a newscast. We catch these blips that are hitting us like this, and it's all through imagery. So the next way that I can impact the world is to really think and put out positivity in the way that images are presented. So if it's a website, if it's an intranet, if it's an ad, all that imagery, I want to be able to help others find different voices when they hire, connect differently with human beings, have more honest conversations. And that is really through the lens of imagery. So Pockstock is my evangelist moment to really change in a mass way some of what happens in hiring, in communications, in marketing. It's all to move that needle. And I'm having a good time doing it. So, you and I met at a LinkedIn event.
At a LinkedIn event at LinkedIn Quarters.
At LinkedIn Quarters. It was amazing.
It was amazing. It's at LinkedIn is located at the Empire State Building in New York. Yeah. And me and Nathalie, we met. And I love networking. Because I get to meet great people like you. Yeah. You know what I mean? I you know how people like to be like on the screen and flip. I'm the kind of person that likes to just be out there and just I gravitate to people. So when you said people, I was like, I saw your glow and I feel the same way. I love people. I love people, and sometimes people look at me weird, like, because it seems like in this world we're living in, it seems like sometimes it's more people are anti-people.
Yeah. But they don't realize it fuels them. It's like, some people get overwhelmed, and I understand that, but some people it fuels. And then if you ask someone who's overwhelmed, they're like, I crashed, right? And they sink in. But the thing that they look for is a person or people to pull them out of it. So even though on the way down, they can't manage too much, it's overload. Once they get there, the next step is to go out and find someone who'll interact with you, to reach out and say, come save me. Because in the end, that human interaction, we are pack animals. We are pack animals. And even when you look at social media and how that works, we're creating packs. We just do them digitally.
Tell me how. Tell me in your perspective how we are creating packs.
I like cats. I'm watching all the cats.
Oh, the algorithm.
I'm watching all the cats. Yeah. So so there's a place where I say, don't be afraid of digital, because all we're doing is recreating our physical environment in a digital environment. Stay away from crazy. Avoid crazy. That's one of my things, because no one needs that kind of enforcement. And when I say that, I mean people who are deviant from your perspective on life. That's what I mean. But we create these groups that we want to belong to. I have a passion for K-dramas. The algorithm has me watching shorts on K-dramas. So there's all these.
What? I love K-dramas too. Like I'm on Netflix, and sometimes I hate when you can't translate it to English. I'm like, no. I look at the subtitles, they'll be like Korean and Thai. I'm like, no. I need English. I'm addicted to K-dramas. That's like one of my little secret things. Those are one of those things that I could binge on. Yes, so I tend to do it at late at night, only because I don't want to mess. My whole day will be like watching K-drama, so I have to like put it like in separate days.
Yes,
but
but it's true. And so what's funny is there's an interesting thing about it. The K-drama, you end up reading, so it's kind of like it gives you a romance novel and it gives you
romance, but it gives you human interactions. Yeah, it gives you the devious side, the positive side, the yin and the yang. I just love the way it's just written.
It's a story being told. And so, it's interesting because, that whole digital, pack that we're creating around ourselves. Like now you and I are going to sit there and watch them with millions of other people in the world. And then we're going to catch the shorts on YouTube or the shorts on TikTok. And we're going to follow somebody on Twitter. Because they're all very beautiful and I love it. And I'm here for it. And I
need that skincare routine too.
Yes, I need skincare routine.
Like K-drama and K-beauty. I just be looking at them like I'm a K-beauty fanatic, by the way. So it's like it's followed from K-drama, and all of a sudden I'm doing K-beauty. I just love the whole
the whole thing. I got music on my Spotify. You know, you just name it. I'm
Oh,
all.
you probably like my kids because my kids love
Mhm.
like I mean, I'm not into it, but my kids love it.
Yes,
So it's
Stray
just
Kids and BTS and
really.
TXT. Oh, I can name BB. I can name a bunch of people. I can name a bunch of people. But it's funny because, you know, I actually got into it long before it was a thing. Like I was into it before most people did. I love Bollywood movies. So, you know what it is? It's like Afro music I was into. So I enjoy the differences of people. I don't need the same. I don't need to, you know what? If I want to talk to myself, I'll sit here right in my room and talk to myself. That's why I want some to talk to other people who have different experience. And as diverse as the world is, there's always someone to find. So
Tell me why diversity is so important, because some people do not understand the diverse of. Someone told me, which is, I want to hear your thought on this. Diversity should be diverse of thought and not diverse of color.
So it's diverse of thought, which will lead to diverse of culture if you're truly doing it, which
So it's
will
not color, it's culture.
Culture, which will diversify the colors. So if I read a book a long time ago, and I'm sorry that I can't remember any of the titles. There's a young man, and I can't remember which country in Africa he was from, and he won some prizes. And this is a long time ago. That's why I can't remember names, and unfortunately, I wish I could. But he, out of necessity and need, sort of created a little windmill and created kind of a battery thing so that they could charge equipment around so they could irrigate some fields. Like there was a thing. And actually, let me say this. There's a woman named Jessica Matthews. Her company is Uncharted. She started out by creating a soccer ball that you kick around all day, and then you could plug a lamp in, and then you would have lights at night to do your work with.
Really?
And that ingenuity came out of, she's bred in the US. She goes to a wedding in her family's home country because her family is not from the US. She goes to a wedding, realizes she's sitting next to a generator that's keeping everything going, but you know, generators, they're like, and you choke.
The sound.
Like, there's no reason for me to sit here choking on a generator. If you are not out experiencing the world, those ideas do not get born, or not birthed, I should say, not get born, but birthed in a vacuum. The great minds of the world did not live in a vacuum. Artists do not live in a vacuum. Clergy that we honor and remember historically do not live in a vacuum. So
that's why diversity is important. That's why diversity is important.
That's why diversity is important.
I think what happens with diversity is people see, I think that prejudices come in. I don't think they really understand what the word diversity is. They're like, I want to learn from this person because their prejudice comes in and makes a thing about.
So I think, so you know, that's a good point. I had a conversation the other day. We all have prejudices and biases. The thing that we need to be careful of is racism, which means we took our prejudices and affected another person in an economic and negative way. We restricted an access because our prejudice turns into racism.
So when is it prejudice? And okay, I know you just defined it, but when is it prejudice? And when is it actually race? I know you said it restricted the access. What about if I'm not giving the person any access? What about if I don't have that power? When does it become racist? When you start, you're gonna make a move that is negative in some sort. You're gonna do something that. Because I feel like we all have prejudice. We all have prejudice. You have a bias, and you know, to define how I'm using the word prejudice is bias. We have biases that we need.
we need them for survival. They're defense mechanisms. Like, we walk into a space and we're kind of like, experience has taught us, like, be careful.
Yeah.
You're not sure.
Yeah. Instincts.
But
Instincts.
you also can say, all right, this is my bias when I walk in here. How do I shift that and change that? I don't like okra. I have a bias against okra. I'm prejudiced against okra. I hate okra. I'm not buying it. Right?
Okay.
So but okra is one of the most healthiest things in the world. It is good for your skin. It is good for your digestion. It's good for all these things. You can have okra. I'm not having it. So, what I'm saying is, my prejudice against something doesn't make it bad.
I like that. Yes.
And that's unfortunately what people do. Because I don't like it, I inflict that.
And you inflict it and you spread it.
And you spread it.
Force it.
And
then you force it, and then sometimes people take the opinion and don't even know why they're taking the opinions.
Exactly. So now let's go back to what I was talking about.
That is a wow moment.
Yes. So when you go back to why do we need it? We need it to offset it. We need a diversity. We need inclusion. We need equity. We need to belonging. We need to give access. Those are the reasons why. Because
so in this country, in America, it seems like DEI, I feel like
it's changing. There's a lot. So this is also the thing about press and news. Accept it for what's being said, but don't let it take you off your path in your journey. There's a lot of things that are occurring. What it is it's shifting.
Why did it make it seem like DEI is? I feel like it's towards Black people, and the most I've done my research on it. The most people that benefit from it is white women and women. So I don't understand this DEI thing. Like, oh, you're a DEI hire. I'm like, what do you mean by I'm a DEI hire? First of all, I think that to even get the skills, I think you have to have the skills first to even be hired. Is that correct?
You have to have the skills. You have a skill set. And if you're a person of color, oftentimes you have to have more than
double
the person that you are.
Meaning your master's, your doctorate. Like, you got to have all these.
So notice the press. Notice the press. It's like we're letting African Americans in, or we're giving Black people an unfair advantage, or we're doing this and we're doing that. You have to be careful of the press, which is why something like POC stock is important. You have to change the image. You have to change the narrative. You have to create a new story in order for people to move forward. So statistics shows that white women have been the biggest benefit of
affirmative action.
But they don't go after white women. They went after African American students.
Yeah, but they went after the color. But I noticed, like, in the Supreme Court decision, they're basing it more on color versus gender.
Exactly, because they didn't. So the thing about press is we get impressions. We don't get accurate information, or we don't get in-depth information. So we're making choices and decisions off of blips.
Which is so dangerous.
It's the most dangerous thing you can do. So you have to be aware that there's a narrative going on behind it, and then you have to back off of the narrative.
But that's everyone. Everyone has to back off the narrative.
It's across the board, because the other thing that happens is we, as the individuals are being oppressed, start to believe that narrative too. You got to be careful of these little things. And we could go on in this conversation.
We got to do a part two.
We got to do a part two.
Yeah, we got part two. But thank you so much, Nathalie Heywood Smith.
call outs to you, Danni, because this is an amazing initiative that you have put out there. And I am proud of you, sis, for doing this work. And I think that some of the things we talked about, the things that you want to publish, the mental health issues that you want to bring to the forefront are necessary. So I am sharing my
I got you. I know I got your support. But we're going to talk off the line. I know my producer's like, wrap it up. And I know you got to go. So we're definitely going to do a part 2. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm proud of you, sis. I want to give you your flowers. I'm so honored for you to be on my show. And I hope the information that you provided to the audience will help them.
Yeah.
And I hope
and reach out to me.
Yeah, tell them reach out. Everyone out there looking for a job, please. What is your LinkedIn? Your LinkedIn is your name before we wrap it up.
LinkedIn is it's up now, linkedin.com/n/N Heywood. I am happy to answer questions, give feedback, give understanding. And if I have roles, I'm happy to fill them too. So,
thank you.
Reach out.
Thank you. We will speak offline. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.